Hello and welcome to today's live Democast. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Chris Shields. I head up product marketing here at Gurucul, and I will be moderating today's live session. I'm joined by Mudassar Hussain, or as we affectionately call Maddie, one of our senior solution architects with over 15 years of experience in the cybersecurity industry, working with multiple SIEM and UEBA providers, as well as threat intelligence, vulnerability management, and XDR vendors. Before we jump in, a few housekeeping notes. Please ask questions. You can type them into the box labeled questions just under the webinar window, assuming you're not in full screen mode. You can submit questions at any time and we will answer them live at the end of the webinar, Democast. Usually within 48 hours or so, you'll receive a thank you email and a link to the live session recording. So you can watch that at your convenience for future viewing or reference. And then lastly, sometimes BrightTalk does default to 480p. Don't ask me why. So if your resolution doesn't look great, also at the bottom, you can click on the little settings button. I think it's a gear in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and adjust your resolution accordingly. So SIEMs have gotten a bad rap with declining detections, skyrocketing costs, and the difficulty of getting data into your SIEM for analytics. It's understandable. In this Democast, we'll cover how the Gurucul REVEAL security analytics platform empowers you to simplify and streamline your data ingestion efforts. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Maddie.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you all for joining the Democast. While I share my screen, I wanted to talk about certain challenges organizations face when dealing with data ingestion. So share my screen. So
you're good.
Very commonly seen problems are passing the logs due to limited support to diverse log formats, unable to integrate with custom-built applications. Data ingestion drops off without warning, which can lead to blind spots in security coverage, leaving organizations vulnerable to attack and hindering the overall SOC operations. So to gain complete visibility to organization security posture, it's important to collect logs from business critical applications, servers, your workstations, network devices, basically anything and everything from an organization. So a platform should have flexibility to support logging and normalizing data coming in any format and from any source. So Gurucul comes with out of the box 550 plus integrations, which are listed in our website. Platform supports data ingestion from formats like Ceph, JSON, Leaf, data from flat files, can collect data from database, cloud applications over API, and supports collection over syslog, WMI, and any industry standard protocol. So this is the platform which we are talking about, which is Gurucul's REVEAL platform, which has all the capabilities of SIEM, UEBA, SOAR, fraud analytics, network traffic analyzer, identity detection analytics into one single console, leveraging around 3,500 AI/ML models, which could help in anomaly and advanced threat detections. Now, the platform's landing page takes you to a dashboard which shows visibility on log ingestion with stats on real-time log ingestion, events per second, ingestion by size, number of users being monitored, accounts being monitored, account entitlements, entities being monitored by the platform, all the log sources, list of log sources which are being integrated, and the log sources which are not reporting for last 24 hours, right? This is very super important, by the way, right? Having a visibility across what is being ingested and what not, right? And also talking about top resources by amount of transactions coming in, right? And also real-time ingestion activity by log sources on real-time, on weekly basis and monthly basis as well. So this is the dashboard, and there are different other dashboards as well within our platform. There are around huge dashboards. There are dashboards for every stakeholder, right? You got a CISO dashboard which has all the data points a CISO could digest. There are other set of dashboards as well for SOC analyst. There are dashboards for compliance. There are dashboards for basically anything and everything, right? And it's quite easy to create those dashboards based out of those huge data points that are there within the platform. And in fact, what you can do is you can easily drag and drop these widgets and add it to your favorite dashboard, right? So that was in a nutshell about the dashboards and the visibility across how the platforms provide you with the data across the ingestions and so on, right? Now, getting into the real thing, right? Based out of the agenda, which is across how the platform simplifies the log ingestion. Most of the data now revolves, most of the discussion now revolves around pipelines, wherein the platform, as I said, got around 550 plus out of the box pipelines. Now let me do one thing. Let me search for one of the pipelines, which is a proxy server, right? Now, for Zscaler proxy, the proxy collection is over syslog. So once the syslog configuration is done on the proxy server, the reveal platform would actually receive the logs just by enabling this specific pipeline. There's nothing much to do from your side actually, right? And this is the 5-step process that we were talking about, making it quite easy to onboard any sort of log source, right? Now, firstly, we define the mechanism of how we are actually collecting the logs, right? It is super important to understand how the platform, as I said, right, we collect the logs over API, over syslog, over flat files, JDBC, ODBC connectors, and so on. So defining the log source mechanism is super important. And if there are API-based integrations, you need to actually configure those API settings with respect to giving the API keys, shared secrets, and so on. Like for an instance, Carbon Black is on API based, right? So you just have to select Carbon Black. Prior to that, you need to configure Carbon Black with all set of API keys, right? So that's how easy it is. Now, once the mechanism of log ingestion is defined, next is to define the key identifier, which is the resource, which is the technology vendor. Now, this technology vendor basically comes up with a huge set of parsers and attributes by default. Now, based out of your selection, parsers and mapping autofills. What it means is there are set of grok scripts that are written to parse the logs. So that comes predefined when you select a specific key identifier or the technology vendor, right? Now, in the parser, you see the filters which are written specifically to process the log messages originating from Zscaler looking for this specific keyword, right? Now, the parser basically splits the raw log. It extracts and parses the key value pairs from the log message, enriches it with additional metadata, and then further prepares it for next steps, which is actually the field mapping. Under field mapping, actually our content team is responsible for getting parsers for all the log sources, be it a well-known technology vendor or a custom-built application, right? Now, under mapping, We link vendor-defined attributes to reveals attributes for standardization across all log sources. As said, based on resource selection, field attributes are all listed and does automated mapping. You can add specific functions as well, right? And these are all the functions which are available. You can trim, split, replace, remove, or use any of these functions to transform specific data within the attribute. Like in this specific pipeline, right? We have used lookup as an attribute, as a function to basically do a feed lookup from threat intel feed providers, right? Now, we are basically looking into this specific file, which is TI malicious URLs file, which is part of our which is actually having list of all those malicious URLs, and the platform in real time looks into all those URLs during the ingestion period, right? And then flags with a tag as malicious URL if it matches any of those, right? And then platform also would trigger a playbook to take appropriate response actions using our SOAR native SOAR capabilities. So Gurucul provides with flexibility to integrate with any third-party threat intel feed providers, while platform includes curated threat intelligence from our threat research labs. Our threat research team publishes threat advisories on daily basis with all relevant details about TTPs, IOCs used by an adversary, and so on. You can find those details within our website under Threat Research Lab section. So finally, notifications would actually notify key stakeholders by triggering an automated case and assigning it to a relevant stakeholders when the log ingestion is stopped. So that's in a nutshell on the complete life cycle of how we onboard a specific log source. In fact, pretty much a straightforward, easy to onboard any log sources. For out of the box pipelines, it's just that you got to enable this toggle, right? And you're done. For custom parsers, it's fully Gurukul's responsibility to create those custom parsers for homegrown applications or custom built applications. Now, apart from ingesting log data, Reveal platform has the ability to ingest user data, ingest accounts, account entitlements, entities, and so on by integrating with any of the identity provider. So let's get into some details across how the normalized logs looks like, right? Once we onboard a log source, how does it looks like, and what are the enrichment factors that we would actually add, right? So let me get into Investigate. Investigate is our powerful, robust search engine which supports NLP, right? And let's search for today's data. Now, these are all the integrated log sources. You can just select any of it. Let me pull in a firewall log. So these are all the logs for Fortinet for today. And what you could simply do is you can get into any of these logs. These are all Gurucul Reveal's attributes. And what you can simply do is you can click on any of these attributes and you exactly get to details about what exactly the event type is all about, right? Platform also does the geo enrichment as well with respect to providing information about like which country and which ISP and which city does this specific transaction belongs to as well. And we also preserve the raw log as well for any sort of forensic analysis. Now, let me show you certain examples across the enrichment that we add to our logs. Let me pull in last 7 days of data. And let me pull in something from vulnerability management solution. So basically, vulnerability management solutions do not have information about asset owners, right? Which is very much important, because if the specific vulnerability is deemed to be exploitable and is mapped to CISA-KIV, for an instance, it is super important for organizations to fix those vulnerabilities as soon as possible. So having enrichment like adding asset owner, like here we have within this specific log, we are adding the asset owner details. If you can see here, this is the asset owner details, while the raw log itself does not have that information. We have used the lookup capability that you saw in the previous discussion on Zscaler proxies URL section, right? In the similar fashion, we had a file with all the list of asset owners. We have used that specific file within Tenable's pipeline and did a lookup across the host names and added specific asset owner based out of the host name. Now, this is very important, wherein a playbook within our platform would kick in whenever there is a vulnerability which is actually mapped to CISA-KIV. A vulnerability would be automatically assigned to Samuel Johnson, and a ticket would also be created in any of the ITSM solutions if integrated. So that's the capability of the platform. Now, in line to this, as I said, the platform has the ability to not just ingest data across the logs, right, or the transactions. Platform also has the ability to monitor for all the users, all the accounts, the entitlements, account entitlements, and so on. Now, this data is purely coming in by integrating with your identity provider. It can be your on-prem Active Directory, or it can be Azure AD or whatever, right? There is no such limitations with respect to integrations within our platform. You get complete context about the user, who the user is, what's his role, who's the manager, right? Which department he belongs to, and sort of enriched information about the user's last login, when did he last did a password reset, and so on, right? And also platform can take data from HR systems as well, like this specific detail about the users submitting resignation, what were the observations from HR, everything, right, or being ingested into our platform for deeper insights, right? Now, when you get into any of the user, you exactly get the details about the accounts that the user would use, and where all the data is coming for this specific user, and who are all the colleagues of this specific user, right? Platform does the peer group analytics to understand the actual insights about that specific user, right? So I think that sums up all across how the platform has that sort of easiness or flexibility to onboard not just the log data from well-known technology vendors, but data from any of the users' accounts, and also has that ability to get in data from third-party threat intel feed providers, and so on, right? With this, I hand it over to Chris